Good day and welcome to a new episode of Subjectively Correct, a movie podcast where two buddies discuss films that they've brought each month or each episode based on a theme that's been randomly selected. This episode, our theme is creature feature / monster movie.
Right.
They can have different connotations that kind of are appropriate for both of our picks. So we're looking at all things with creatures that are probably going to attack things and be scary or not, or, you know, just big, bombastic, creaturey, monstery type movies. I'm doing the intro because I picked the newer film and my buddy Matt here has picked the old film as usual.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about his one first. Stick around to the end. We'll talk about the theme for the next episode and our picks for then as well, so you can get ahead and check them out before we record the episode. But for now, buddy old pal, why don't you introduce the movie you have brought for this episode?
Gladly. Yeah, like you said, I brought the older film. Obviously, we're going to be talking about a critically acclaimed classic over here. I think today, in general, is going to be a doozy in a way, in a certain way. But
I was thinking it could be a quick one as well, but
it might be. I don't think there's too many thoughts in a creature feature film, which is, as we might be talking about during our discussion, which is probably one of its benefits, of the genre's benefits. But
well, I think as well, one thing to note is that, you know, there are obvious ones like Godzilla films or that sort of thing that,
right,
you know, we didn't pick because we've seen them already. And
exactly. We didn't.
I know for my part, I usually like to pick something that, you know, Matt hasn't seen just for the fun of it. And yeah, there's the Alien movies. There's heaps of good monster movies out there that we didn't pick. So, yeah.
And I just picked mine to torture Josh over here because
bastard.
I brought.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, I brought the 2002 movie Eight-Legged Freaks, which is a dope title in itself. But I grew up knowing this as a Rack Attack. For some reason, here in Germany, they used a Rack Attack as the title, which I feel like is even less understandable for a non-English speaking audience. But I guess it has a better ring to it. Eight-Legged Freaks is a dope title though in itself. I only learned about that when I was way older. Anyway, this movie is directed by a person named Ellery El-Kayam, who also co-wrote the script with somebody named Jesse Alexander. Ellery El-Kayam also apparently made a short film called Larger Than Life in the 90s, which apparently was the precursor to this feature-length movie. And Ellery El-Kayam also directed in 2000 a movie called They Nest, which is a cockroach-themed mystery thriller thing, which I've seen before, which I actually found pretty neat. That one was a made-for-TV production, though. But I found it interesting that this guy apparently has multiple creepy crawly films under his belt.
He's got a genre.
Yeah. This film is starring people like David Arquette, Kari Vura, Dougie Doug, Scarlett Johansson, and Scott Terra. That's, I would say, the main bulk of the main protagonists or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, Eight-Legged Freaks. Again, since we are talking about monster movies / creature features, I have a feeling the plot is not going to matter either way. Eight-Legged Freaks starts with a story of somebody coming back to his hometown, a little mining town in the middle of nowhere, after years of absence due to some mysterious, unexplained drama in the past, whatever, and then gets to meet all those people from his past and deal with the old drama, whatever. But again, nobody cares about that shit because the real crux of the plot is that the trope of chemical waste gets into the water, fucking up with the local wildlife, specifically crickets, which are used coincidentally to feed spiders at a spider farm, making them grow exponentially and unnaturally big, which, of course, in turn causes them to go loose on the inhabitants of this small town in the middle of nowhere. There you have your creature feature trope, your creature feature plot, just some creatures picked, made into a threat through some half-assed idea and getting thrown out there to kill a bunch of people in an enclosed environment. It's like picture book creature feature nonsense. I picked this movie partially probably because of nostalgia, though I still enjoy it greatly today. I grew up with this movie, watching it countless times because I think it was on TV over here like every year for some reason. And I think I'm known to be somebody who is big into bugs. I love bugs. I like creepy crawlies. And I assume seeing this movie as a kid was probably also like kind of a something that added to that, a stepping stone in that direction, something like that.
A formative experience, yeah.
Yeah, I think genuinely so. Rewatching this movie, we got a scene early on at that spider farm where the guy handling that whole thing gives another character like a brief overview of different kinds of different species of spiders. And I can't say if those are like all 100%, true to life, correct or whatever, but you get like general sense of some archetypes of like the jumping spiders, the trapdoor spiders, some tarantula shit or whatever. And you get them all with like little scenes in action as they hunt their prey in their little terrariums and whatever. And I'm like, fuck yeah, this is dope. This is my kind of shit. And in the terms of the movie, it's like a perfect setup to immediately make you familiar with the different kinds of monsters, of creatures that you're gonna see kill all these innocent people. And I feel like, again, this whole concept is like straight up B-movie fodder. You would see this sort of thing the hand would fold on like TV with like low budget films that just make some creature kill a bunch of people. It's not a unique concept at all, but I do believe Eight-Legged Freaks is, from the production value, like a tiny step above that. It has actually like some decent acting. It has, I think, some pretty decently like snappy, quick writing between the characters that I actually enjoyed as what it is. Like, it's not at all a masterpiece, and it doesn't culminate into anything truly memorable, but as a completely lighthearted piece of popcorn entertainment, I think it it achieves what it's probably trying to be without attempting to be more than that, while also not completely falling into the trash pile of like cheaper productions in the same genre. I think it's a very like comfortable middle ground in that sense, and I still have a great time with this. Although there are some strange choices being made. One of them being there is like you have all these people running away and being mauled by these ginormous, horrific spider creatures, but you also have the occasional completely mismatched Looney Tunes style cartoon scene that feels like they might want to capture some Gremlins vibes or whatever, where the ginormous spider creatures, I don't know, have a fight with a cat pushing each other's faces comically into drywall, or like making weird cartoony noises and whatever. I've
forgotten about that part.
There's some weird shit that I feel like they tried to lighten the mood after they realized, okay, this might be a bit too horrific if we play it like straight up. Because some scenes are pretty fucking gnarly, but then they put like weird, like cartoony laugh samples over the creatures and whatever. They all make like weird, like creature noises. And it just doesn't fit. And I feel like that might have been a choice in post to lighten the mood because it was too brutal or whatever. But it all just makes for this really cornily enjoyable ultimate concoction, in my opinion. Before I ramble on much more, I am so excited to hear how much you enjoyed this movie because I know you're a huge Spider fan. Uh, Genuinely, though, because we had this whole thing at the end of the last episode, right? Where I had to like not convince you to do this, but I did. Like, I was prepared for you just saying no, you're not gonna do this, and I respect that you did. Play according to my rules or whatever, and watch this film after all. But yeah, I'm excited to see you let loose on this bullshit that I like so much.
Well, yeah. So to address like my concerns from when you picked it, legitimately, I hate spiders, and I'm not a big horror fan or anything. So a spider-based horror film is like my worst kind, not nightmare or anything, but just like no thanks, I'm good. So that was my concern. But last week as well, last episode when you picked it, I watched the trailer and realized that it was kind of goofy as fuck.
Yeah.
And and so therefore went, yeah, okay, we'll watch it. And I have to say, none of that was a concern when I watched this. None of that was a problem. It wasn't scary.
Yeah.
It was stupid. None of it was like, all right, I just got to fucking deal with this and watch it because of that. I'd still have big problems with this movie. But I think it fits into, for anyone like who's maybe a little bit older like me, it fits into that kind of era of shitty comedy, kind of light-hearted / horror films, which were around that time, because this was 2002, and I remember like late 90s and early 2000s, there was a bunch of these films who were basically trying to be Scream, where they'd make a horror film that's actually funny and enjoyable as well. And it would be like a kind of a bit of a piss take on the whole genre.
Yeah.
And I believe there were other like monster movies as well and stuff, like films like Anaconda and stuff where, you know, it's a big monster and they throw in a lot of comedy even though they kind of take it seriously and, you know, whatever. But yeah, so this to me felt pretty, you know, of its time. I mean, David Arquette as well. He's very much of his time.
For sure.
Fucking love Dougie Doug, I have to say.
Yes.
I think he's hilarious, mostly because he was in Cool Runnings, but also because he's just got a funny way of being a comedic character, which he is in this film as well.
Yeah.
So I loved him in this. Young Scarlett Johansson's always interesting because I think she was an alright actress for a kid actress. And, you know, she's a kid in this one. I've never heard of Carrie Wurra before because I looked her up and I don't think I've seen many of her films.
Yeah.
But even her character in this film, like she's the town sheriff, but she's like the super attractive young town sheriff who David Arquette once had a thing with, but then he left town and there was drama, like you said, and he has to come back and tell her that he loves her, kind of it's all that bullshit. And that's cool. None of that bothered me because that's just like typical, you know, shitty comedy kind of trope 101. The thing that I hated about this movie
Let's go.
was and I hate this in any movie, was all the noises and sounds and like speech that they gave to the fucking spiders. Where they literally are, there's moments where they sound like they're minions chatting to each other.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
like going,
Yeah.
but they're meant to be these big scary spiders, or
Yeah,
like they make noises of them like roaring like cats or like tigers or whatever, and it's like, nah, man, these are spiders. They don't do that.
yeah, that made no sense.
And I get a little bit of artistic license to kind of add some soundtrack to it, to what's otherwise basically a mostly silent animal.
Mm.
But it was there was even a spider dies and you'd hear a kind of mumbled version of it going like, oh no, or something like that.
Yeah.
And that just, I think I would have liked this film like as a shitty comedy film if it wasn't for that. Because that stuff in any film kind of just turns me off completely. Like I can't stand it. It's like nails on a blackboard for me. Like I just hate it so much. And I kind of enjoyed the bits in between that in the movie. Like whenever there weren't spiders making weird noises, I kind of liked it for being, a cheesy, corny, crappy monster comedy, basically.
Yeah.
Man, the soundtrack choices really, really killed it for me. I actually didn't even mind the special effects for the spiders, because most of them are obviously animated, if not all of them. I think there might have been a bit of practical here and there, but they kind of look like they're blue screened in a bit every now and then, which is fine.
Yeah.
Kind of for the time, they did a pretty good job, I think, and for the obvious budget. But yeah, I think I just really struggled with all the vocalizations of the spiders. And like there's parts where they're attacking the whole town, and everyone in the town's being attacked by a swarm of different types of spiders, or like jumping around, or like massive tarantulas, or orb weavers kind of like shooting webs all over the place, and trapdoor dudes coming out from the ground.
Hell yeah.
But then like someone turns around and sets them on fire, and they run away, but as they run away they're like going, oh no.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, it's a weird choice. Yeah.
It turns it from being like kind of a big bombastic kind of enjoyable monster movie that it's dumb, it's corny, it's kind of, there's some bad acting, I reckon, there's some bad writing, I reckon.
Yeah.
And there's everything in between, and it kind of, it's the thing for me, it's the needle that broke the camel's back kind of thing, or the straw that broke the camel's back. It's the one thing that just kind of tips it way too far and takes it into the realm of just being pure bad. Whereas without any of those soundtrack choices, it would have been way more enjoyable and way more digestible, I guess. And I would have been happy to go along with the absurdity of it. But, that just, I can't stress enough how much that just killed it for me.
That's wild.
And it's like the biggest criticism I have, which might sound weird, but it really is, because, it is. I'm not going to say it's a good movie, because it's not. But,
Damn.
but I can get into the spirit and enjoy it for what it is, and like take it. I don't think they were taking it too seriously when they made it either, which is always good. Not like some other films, but it might it might have just fallen into that kind of like, this is, almost so bad it's good kind of thing, but, or just like a shitty good time. And that's cool. That's fine. I'm down for that. I'm happy to be entertained that way. But unfortunately, I think because those sorts of things just really piss me off when they vocalize like animals and stuff to make them sound scary or bigger or whatever, it just completely ruined it for me. I don't really have a lot to say about the film other than that.
I mean, yeah, like I said, I think that's one of its weirdest decisions as well. I don't think that was needed. It's interesting though that it had such a big impact on your experience. I was able to look past that a bit more, apparently.
Well, and it's obviously just like a pet peeve for me anyway. Like any film that does that, it grates me so much. It's just one of those things that just kind of like, sets me, puts my heckles up, and I'm just like, I hate this.
And you said because the spiders are all like huge most of the time, and it's all like with this comedic tone. Nothing here really like triggered your spider hatred. But what about the earlier scenes where they were still normal size and whatever?
Well, yeah.
Anything
To be fair, that was like the creepiest part was when they were just normal spiders
that checks
getting out
yeah.
of their cages. But that lasts like 5 minutes, so whatever.
Yeah.
And like the creepiest thing was when the dude the character's name was Joshua, because I remember because my name's Josh,
Yeah.
who ran the spider farm, because of course every small town's got a spider farm full of exotic spiders. But you know, I dig that part of it anyway. There's a part where he's looking for basically his tarantula or something because he realized it's gotten out.
Yeah.
And like he turns around and it's on his back, like climbing up his back. That's the creepiest part to me. Like that's the scariest, creepiest part of the whole film. And it's not that bad. Like it didn't bother me. But
That's good.
I think about if that was happening to me, that would freak me out if like a spider like suddenly crawled over my head. And
If it happened to you, yeah. But like legitimately, that was one of my earliest gripes, that scene. Because somebody who has a million spiders around them and deals with them daily wouldn't freak out like that if that thing happens to be on their shoulder. And that was, and
You'd
because
think
that
he'd
is
be better at handling them, yeah.
Yeah, and because that's like kind of the whole crux of how they got free in the first place. That was kind of like a, I guess actually this film shouldn't be taken in any way seriously or whatever, but that felt over the top even for this film in a way. I also realized though,
No, go.
No, you go first.
I was just going to say, I like that, you know, it is that kind of genre film where, you know, there's the evil mayor who's like, the mines are shutting down and he's not helping and everyone's out of work, but he's like storing toxic waste in the mines and he's opened up a huge mall where he's like, you could get a job at the mall and make me lots of money and blah, blah, blah. And like part of David Arquette's character is that he's come back to take over his father's mine.
Yeah.
That would never kind of made any money, but then towards the end of the film when they're running away from all these spiders through the mines, he comes across a huge, very obvious outcrop of gold.
Yeah.
and he's like, oh cool, now I'm rich. And it's like, it's already been dug out. They would have known it was there anyway. Like,
yeah,
even that stuff I don't care, because that's just like Scooby-Doo fucking horror shtick kind of crap.
On that note, I actually want to I kind of commend the film for, again, they build up the like trope nonsense of this guy coming back to this town with this unresolved past drama, whatever. And later on, they do have a scene where he's like, I'm gonna confess what I really got on my mind, what actually happened, blah blah. And they subvert that, like that cliche scene in a way by just having her be like, yeah, I know, shut the fuck up, this doesn't matter, I know what happened already, this, we don't need this to be a dramatic scene. I kind of like that because it fit into this, they know exactly what they're doing, they don't give a shit, the filmmakers.
Well, and I think that's the best thing for a film like this is when you know that they're not taking it too seriously. They know it's a big bombastic stupid film.
Exactly.
Like, that's cool, and that's what I mean. Like I'm all for that. I'm happy to go on the ride.
Yeah,
I'm happy to go with that until the spiders start sounding like minions from fucking Despicable Me, and like twittering to each other as they attack the town.
Yeah.
Like, sorry guys, you lost me there.
It was rough. That's true. But aside from that, I maybe as a final thought, I don't know if we have much more to talk about this, but I do like, because this isn't a film to talk much about it, but also, again, I think that speaks for this. Early on, you already mentioned we didn't pick like the greats because we've already seen it, and we usually pick something the other person hasn't seen. That limited our choices in this regard. But I actually think even if Eight-Legged Freaks over here isn't the masterpiece to discuss at length, I do believe it's actually a really good showcase at the for the like average creature feature film, because it has all those elements without completely falling into their own traps, because it knows what it is trying to do. still believe if somebody wants a straight creature feature film, this is genuinely a good recommendation. It's not an Alien or whatever. It's not The Thing. But
I
if
think I just hate that kind of comedy.
yeah, I could see that.
Like it's not my sense of humor. I'm just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, fuck.
That is fair. That is fair.
Like if I was going to recommend a creature feature to someone who's never seen any of them, then yeah, I'd be like, fucking let's bring out Alien, let's throw a Godzilla film in there. You know, that's why I immediately think of those. This sort of comedy is not something that I would recommend to anyone, really.
Would you have watched this though, like straight up this spider horror bullshit if it was played straight?
I would have watched it. I don't know if I would have enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's
what I mean. Like, I enjoy it for what it is because I always try to enjoy myself when I'm watching things, even if it's not my kind of thing. And, you know, so that's cool. But this is the kind of, I think of, you know, when I was younger and friends and I would go to the video store and look at videos.
Yeah.
Movies to rent and that kind of thing. So we're like looking at the covers most of the time for stuff that we don't know about. And this would be the kind of film that has, I mean, I don't know what the cover first looks like. I can kind of imagine it's a bit of a Johnny Mnemonic kind of cover, like a bit sci-fi, bit like, intense maybe. But it would either be that or it would be some fucking dumb cover with like a spider half eating someone, but they're like got a smile on their face or something. I don't know. Like, and I'd pick it up in the video store and I'd be like, fuck that. And my friend who likes those sorts of films would be like, oh, let's get this film. And I'd be like,
yeah, I would be that. I would be that friend. I'm a sucker for that bullshit. I just want a big, stupid creature killing a bunch of people and I'm happy.
I have to look at the cover now.
Yeah, I was about to send it because I don't think you would like it at all. It's not a great cover.
Yeah, this is pretty much what I was thinking. It's so bullshit.
Yeah. It's very much bullshit for sure.
Like David Arquette looks like he's having fun.
Let
the squashing begin.
Let the squashing begin. Hell yeah.
Yeah, and you know, again, like I say, you know, whatever. I get it. It's yeah. It's a dumb movie. It's meant to be a dumb movie.
Yeah. There's also a video game.
It's got a decent cast, you know.
There's also a video game that I've played a couple of years ago, which is basically like a boomer shooter style thing where you go through the mall with your guns and like shoot all these giant spiders. It was all right, I guess. It always starts in the menu with the big sound clip from the movie. Get back, you eight-legged freaks! And it's just like, hell yeah, brother.
Well, and there's like the kind of moments that really piss me off as well. Like there's one part in the mall. They're all hiding out in this mall. For those keeping up, the whole town are in there, so they're all kind of. And they've raided all the stores and everything to get weapons and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But there's this one bit where obviously the spiders get in and, you know, attack everybody. But there's this old guy who's been like hiding in this like camping store. And he kind of like, when it all calms down, he like comes out and starts like walking around to try and find people and stuff. And behind him, there's a tent set up that starts moving like towards him as he walks away from it. But then he like stops, so the tent stops moving, and he kind of turns around, does the whole, oh, what's there? Oh, there's nothing there. It's just a tent, and continues walking. But then the tent keeps following him, you know, like someone hiding in a bush in a cartoon kind of thing. And then the tent opens, and there's a spider inside who attacks him.
Yeah,
and it's like,
it's so dumb.
I get the joke, and it is kind of funny, but it's like the extreme of stupid. That it just kind of annoys me as well. Like it annoys me as much as it amuses me.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I could subscribe to that. Did you ever see?
Yeah, I don't enjoy that really.
Did you ever see the Gremlins films?
Yeah.
Did you like those?
Yeah, because they actually had a pretty good script and everything though as well. Like that, they were a good story.
Yeah, Gremlins rules. I have a feeling. With legged freaks, they were trying to capture some of that goofiness, but it doesn't work with giant spiders at all. I wonder.
Well, and it's again, it helps that the gremlins are kind of sentient, intelligent species.
Yeah,
which spiders are as well, arguably. But like gremlins could talk and everything, and make noises and stuff, and it didn't seem weird.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
whereas like we all know what spiders are like. They're not having chats and going, "Oh no," and running away.
I know. I talk with them all the time. I had a good chat with my spider bro behind me at the potted plant. He's a good chap. I like him. Anyway. Yeah, let's wrap this part up. I guess give me your numerical rating. I'm sure it's gonna be fantastic. I'm excited to hear this. It's 8 out of 10 for all the legs.
It's not rock bottom, so that's good. Because I do kind of okay, it's dumb fun, whatever. That's cool.
Yeah.
But it's pretty bad. It's like I have to give this like a 1 out of 5. 2 out of 10.
Can we not?
Because it actively made me mad.
Can we not push this up to a 3 out of 10?
No.
Damn, son.
Because films or stories like this, same with books, all that kind of like things that actively kind of make me angry because of the decisions that they've made.
That's awesome.
In the creation of this media or the telling of this story, that tanks it hard for me. Unfortunately, this was one of those.
I like how we both knew that you wouldn't like this. But at least
but for different reasons, though,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, and I thought I wouldn't like it just because it's like spider horror film.
Yeah.
But that's completely not it at all. And it's not really a spider horror film anyway.
Yeah.
But that's why, because before I saw the trailer, I thought, oh, okay, it's just going to be like, kind of like Arachnophobia, which I've seen the trailer for a lot, but I've never watched the film because that actually looks kind of scary.
Yeah, it's best straightforward,
not goofy.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in the trailer for this, there's a great shot of an old dude sitting in his chair and a huge, gigantic spider kind of comes out from behind him and wraps its legs around him and like eats him. And it's goofy as hell. And so that's kind of okay. I get the tone of this. That's fine. But with more of a nostalgic kind of memory, I guess, of this one, what would you give it?
Yeah, I'm at the like solid 7 out of 10. It's definitely not a masterpiece or anything, but I enjoyed a lot. And again, yeah, I do have a bit of nostalgia for this as well, which surely adds to this mess. But it's just,
and that's fair.
Yeah, it's just one of those stupid films that have. I just like bugs. I just like dumb creatures. So it's an easy win for me. I was reminded as well, just recently we talked also about Killer Clowns from Outer Space when I brought this up. And even then I already said I love the trope of some small town in the middle of nowhere being invaded by some creature. This is literally the same thing with a different creature. I'm a huge sucker for that.
As a point of, I guess, interest maybe, I give this film a 1 out of 5. If they didn't do the dumb minion voices for the spiders, I would probably go to like a 2.5.
There we go. Okay.
Maybe even a 3. Like that's
damn.
How much it ruins it for me, and how much I can appreciate just the big dumb time that it is. I'd probably go a 2.5 because that's like middle of the road, and it's a shit film, but at least I had a good time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But because of all the dumb minion voices that the spiders got, I got angry and I got annoyed and frustrated and pissed off that I had to listen to it.
We need a fan
so
edit.
that brings it right back down to that 1 out of 5.
Rough. Well, it's good to know that it would have been much better without that.
So that's something to think about, yeah.
Yeah, maybe in the sequel, when it finally comes. I can only dream.
Well, I think it's interesting as well because like, when I look this film up, the first genre is horror, and I get that it is horror.
Yeah.
But that's why horror kind of confuses me so much, because a lot of it isn't necessarily scary. It's just kind of horror themes, like big scary monster. But it's not presented in a way that actually will scare you. And there's lots of films like that. There's like Halloween films and films about ghosts or whatever that are quote unquote horror, but not actually what I would say is scary.
Yeah, that's true.
And obviously those ones don't bother me because I don't get scared. It's the ones that are like a bit more serious and intense and actually built to frighten you that give me the heebie-jeebies. So yeah, I'm glad this wasn't one of those.
Yeah. Fair.
Basically.
All right. I think it's time to pull apart a whole different kind of monster with your pick
From one
this month.
scary movie to another scary movie.
Yeah, sure.
For different reasons.
Uh-huh.
So this was a bit of a departure for me as well, because I picked a film that I hadn't seen before.
Right.
And that Matt hadn't seen before, because I was actually really struggling for like creature feature films, because apparently I don't have a lot in my back catalogue other than the big ones. So when I was trying to find one, I ended up finding a film that I wanted to watch anyway, but I kind of half expected would be a bit shit, which is 2020's Monster Hunter, which is written and directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, who has quite the back catalogue of movies under his belt. Like, he did Event Horizon, which I actually love. I think it is a great film. But he also did like the Resident Evil films. I have mixed responses. I went to see the first Resident Evil film in the theaters with some friends. And yeah, it was dope. It was nothing to do with the games, but it was dope as hell. It was a good time. Again, one of those big dumb kind of action movie good times. He did the Dead or Alive movie, which before recording we were speaking about Dead or Alive actually.
True.
He did the 90s Mortal Kombat film. He did Alien vs. Predator. You know, so he's got a bit of pedigree when it comes to these sorts of
trash.
Trashy, yeah. Well, but yeah, that kind of film, like big actiony films that probably don't have a lot of substance behind them anyway.
Yeah.
This one in particular, though, was starring Milo Jovovich, who was also in the Resident Evil films, funnily enough. Tony Jaa, who I love because he's a Muay Thai boxer, martial artist who is woefully underutilized in this film.
Yeah.
Like, he just, good on him, he got a job. Like, I won't deny him that, but for someone who's like known to be a martial arts master, they did not use that at all in this film, and he could have done some cool shit, but never does. And Ron Perlman's in there too, who he probably goes without saying because he's such a prolific actor and such a character too, like an identifiable character.
Yeah.
That I love him. I think he's great. And there's a bunch of other actors as well who I just have never heard of and don't know. So I'm not going to list heaps of names, but they're the main ones. And I also wanted to shout out the art director, who's Guy Poggieter or something, however you say his last name, because I think the real strength of this film is the art direction and is the world building and effects, because there are some massive monsters in this and they look pretty realistic and well put together, I think. Like, you know, on par with basically the video game that they're based on, really. Matt's screwing up his face at me, but anyway. Yeah. But the basic story is, this is obviously based on the Monster Hunter video games, which I will say loosely based on, because fuck me, it's not really based on them. But other than the fact that there's big monsters, and they have a few like little fan service moments here and there. But by and large, it's about Milo Jovovich's character and a bunch of other army dudes who find some random portal in the middle of a desert and get transported to this alternate world where there are these gigantic building-sized monsters who, you know, terrorize and attack people and kill people and hunt them down and all that kind of thing. A little bit like Eight-Legged Freaks, like at night these big spider-like dudes come out and attack everybody.
True.
Which is, you know, whatever. But the kind of fun part for me is the more fantasy side of the story, where at the very beginning of the story, the first thing we see is Ron Perlman, who's kind of the captain of a ship, but it's a ship that's kind of sailing through a sandy desert. And there's a bunch of characters on there who look like they're from the game. They've got these like steampunkish kind of outfits and, you know, big weapons and all this kind of stuff. And they're obviously like giving a nod to all the different classes and things in the game. And they're kind of, you know, out in the world hunting big monsters and stuff and getting attacked by big wormy looking things and whatever. And it's basically just showpiece after showpiece after showpiece in this film, I think, anyway. There is a story there, but most of it is, hey, look at this big monster. Here's an action scene. Hey, look at this next big monster. Here's an action scene. Oh, that other monster's back again and you managed to kill it this time. How about that? You know, that's basically the film. And in my mind, that's enough. As in, I wasn't really expecting anything more. I wasn't expecting this to be amazing or like full of a great story or anything, kind of like Eight-Legged Freaks. Like I wasn't expecting much from that either.
Yeah.
Just kind of more of a spectacle than anything else. The really, really frustrating about this film, which I will be interested to see if you agree or not, is most of the film doesn't really lean into the Monster Hunter thing until like the last 5 minutes, and then it's like prematurely over. It literally, there's like a huge fight scene with the big, Rathalos dragon dude, and there's like a portal that's unstable and they're trying to close and whatever so that people don't keep coming between worlds and all this kind of shit. And there's like 5 minutes of a fight and then it's over. We get back to the real world and there's like a little bit more after that, but basically it's done and you're like, oh, okay, this is it. And there's like 2 seconds where Mila Jovovich's character wakes up on the ship with Ron Perlman and there's like the cat guy who's cooking everyone dinner, but he's in it for like 2 seconds to kind of give a nod to the fact that this is what's in the game.
Yeah.
But no real other exploration of that side of the universe, which I found very disappointing.
Yeah.
Because to me, that could have been most of the film and it would have been really cool.
Yeah.
So other than that, yes, it was a pretty crappy film. I'm not going to lie. I was impressed by the effects and the world building and everything of the bits that they actually managed to include. Like I loved Ron Perlman's ship and all that kind of stuff. And like I say, the cat guy making dinner and all that, that was rad. But that was literally like a scene in the entire fucking film. So that's where I'll leave it for now though. But tell us what you thought, Matt. I don't expect you would like this at all.
Yeah, no, the shit sucked, dog. To preface this, I have never played a Monster Hunter game. Literally, my only touching ground with Monster Hunter was during a class trip back in high school. Some of my closest friends at the time played Monster Hunter on PSP all day, and it's the only bits and pieces of that franchise that I really picked up. All I know is that it's about killing giant creatures and using the resources you get from taking those bodies apart to upgrade your shit. I think basically. That's like, that's all I know. Going
killing
into
big
this
animals and turning them into gear.
Yeah, okay, I got that right then. So when this film, so I was kind of going to this. Okay, maybe it's cool to see like this fantasy world and how this society or whatever actually lives with these creatures. But then it starts with some stanky ass goddamn US soldiers in some desert, and I'm already like, fuck off, man. I don't want this isekai trope of some regular normie going into the fantasy world and knowing nothing. And we don't actually get to see anything of the actual native inhabitants of that world for a long ass time. The main character hangs out with Tony Ya's character for a long time. It's only those two for a long time. And Tony Ya is an inhabitant of this world, but they can't communicate because they don't speak the same language, and they mostly hang out in some caves in the middle of the desert, so you don't get to see much either. Sure, you have the spider creatures coming out at night that you mentioned, which were okay, I guess, and we got this huge Diablos creature, I think it was called, roaming the desert dunes, which was neat, but there's so much downtime trying to, I guess, somewhat build up these two characters, neither of which were interesting at all to me, and neither of which really furthered the actual world building and getting to know this fantasy world. It sucked. It sucked. I really did not like it.
I totally agree with you anyway. But this is one where we are going to agree that it sucked. But let me pitch you the alternate film, which would have been closer to the game,
Yeah.
where we forget about Mila Jovovich's character entirely.
Good.
She doesn't exist. None of the army dudes exist. All that kind of thing. We open up with Ron Perlman on the ship with all his mates fighting big beasts in the desert. And there's like cool elements in there of like world building where in the ship, like underneath, below deck where they normally have like a map, they've got this like 3-dimensional map of the area, which looks really, really cool. It's easy to miss. So if you might not have seen it because they don't draw any attention to it, but it's just kind of there. And on this 3-dimensional map, there's like their ship as well is on there, but it's like on a table in front of the dudes who are on the ship. And it's almost like a fantasy kind of 3-dimensional representation of the actual world and what's happening, but replicated in this little, weird map that kind of does things. And the big tower in the center of the map, which is kind of where the big dragon lives and is the source of everything. The ship that they're on is actually tethered to that, as if it's roaming the desert while being tethered to that and being unable to leave either. There's all this stuff in there anyway, but it could have been as simple as the game. Like, to me, the game loop is you show up in a camp where, warriors like you rock up and you talk to craftsmen and cooks and people who give you food to like boost your stats and everything, and people who make you cool weapons out of the bones of the things you've defeated. Mm-hmm. And then you go, you prep yourself, you get lots of food, you eat the right things, you cook the right meals, you get all your gear together, and you head off in a direction to hunt a particular type of monster. And it could take a while, but you head off and you trek through the, fantasy land, and you go past a bunch of other monsters who either fight or don't fight, but maybe they're not going to attack you anyway. They're pretty passive creatures or whatever, until you find the big guy that you're hunting, and you spend like an hour of the 1.5-hour movie fighting this dude.
Yeah.
It's like a war of attrition, and you've got to constantly rebuff yourself and sharpen your weapons and, do cool moves and all this kind of stuff until you eventually bring it down. And it feels like such an achievement because it's taken so long and it's been so difficult and challenging. And then, you cut it up and you take it home and you build new armor from its scales and all this kind of thing. And you eat its flesh and you celebrate back at camp that way. That could be the entire film.
Yeah.
Because that's the basic gameplay loop. And that would have been way more interesting than what we got.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Even though it seems pretty simple.
Yeah, that. I think that's what makes it so extra frustrating, because it seems like a really straightforward concept of how to turn that concept into a good movie, but they didn't do it. It didn't help that I think we're spending like the first complete hour in this like desert region with a lot of hanging around in the caves and trying to communicate without any language and blah blah. A full ass hour, I'm pretty sure, until we actually see another location. And the pacing is also so fucking lame. It felt to me like somebody's fan fiction that was written and then there was like no. Yes, she had a goal to go back to her worlds by reaching some magical thunderstorm in the distance, but it never felt like there was satisfying progress on the way there. It was a lot of meandering, and especially in a film called Monster Hunter, I don't know, I would have expected more creature action. The few times when they actually do fight the creatures, I mean, easily the highlights, because there's not much else going on around that. And yeah, the creatures look good. There's some cool visuals with that, but it doesn't warrant the long wait time until then. I was sure, okay. Also with Ron Perlman's crew and whatever, we get a brief glimpse at them in the intro sequence, but then they are completely out of the picture for most of the runtime. And I think I got in my notes one. Yeah. It takes the movie so long to get back to those actually interesting characters that Ron Perlman and his crew only make up like 20 minutes of the entire runtime. That's it. And like you already said, pretty much with your own idea, like this whole movie should have been about Ron Perlman's crew and their mission, because they actually have something going on. They actually represent this world in an interesting way, and they provide world building. I think in the first 5 sentences that Ron Perlman has, there's more world building than in the entire first hour sitting around in the desert.
Absolutely.
And I don't. Why the fuck do we spend so much time with that? It doesn't.
Yeah, I agree.
Fuck off.
And that's what I mean by that last kind of 10 minutes or so where we actually get that cool stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that should have been the whole film. And, you know, the nature of Milla Jovovich's character as well is we as the audience don't know what's going on. So it kind of sucks that she also doesn't know what's going on. And it's not that her interaction with the world isn't that interesting for us to want to go and find out with her. It's like, no, I want to go talk to Ron Perlman, who knows exactly what's going on, and he'll drip feed me interesting little tidbits along the way. Like, you know, that's way more interesting. Or even Tony Jaa's character, like, yeah, he's wasted, I think, in this film. He could have just been any old person. And that's, you know, that's fine, whatever. Like I say, he doesn't have to be the martial arts expert in everything. But it's kind of like hiring Bruce Lee and not having him do any kung fu kind of thing. It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
I mean, they have one martial arts scene, but it's also not like the greatest. Yeah.
And the ending scene sucks balls, where they're all kind of jumping at the new target and showing off their weapons. It's kind of like, see, we know that there's different weapons in the game. We gave each character a different weapon. And it's like, yeah, that'd be cool if you actually expanded on that.
Yeah. What I also hate.
There is something I really liked, actually, so I'll follow that up after this. Yeah.
Okay. So what I also hate is just the concept of the cliffhanger because it all hinges on the idea that these giant creatures are now invading real world or whatever, like our Earth. And it's like, shut the fuck up. Just stay in this interesting fantasy world. We don't need to have this in our regular dumbass Earth. That's not what I watched a movie like this for. Why do we want to escape the source material that makes this movie interesting in the first place?
Well, I think more so as well, it's not done in an interesting way.
Yeah.
It just is.
Just happens.
Like, I could see that being an interesting shtick or an interesting angle, but this isn't it.
No.
The one thing I did really like about this film, which is incidental and unfortunately doesn't hold up the rest of the film, is the sound design. I liked the soundtrack. The little bit of music that was in there when it was, I thought was good. But then there was a lot of sound design where audio would get muffled or it would drop out depending on the characters and how they would be experiencing the action, essentially. Kind of like that thing of like a bomb goes off and everyone's ears ring and the audio kind of slowly comes back in. It's like that kind of stuff. So it's not necessarily super original, but I think they did a good job of the sound design and editing the audio portion of the movie in parts, basically.
Sure.
I just want to give that a shout out because it was a positive. So, you know.
I mean, I can also give this a shout out for. I mean, the movie succeeded in one thing. It would want to make me actually play one of these games because it's so painful to see the potential wasted so hard. It's a good advertising for the games in the worst way possible.
Yeah, because I haven't played heaps of Monster Hunter, but I played a little bit, and yeah, it's not like the movie at all.
Yeah, I imagine. Fucking hell, man.
Anyway,
it sucks ass.
I don't think we've got much else to say about that. So put a number on it there, brother.
Fuck.
How low can you go?
I am between a 3 out of 10 and a 2 out of 10. It's very low. I think I'm just gonna give a 3 out of 10 because the monsters, the creatures were cool. The last 20 minutes were fun. I don't want to be too rude.
When you have to start making excuses, you know.
Yeah. Where are you on this?
I would pretty much agree with you 100%. I was thinking like 1.5, 3 out of 10, 1.5 out of 5.
Yeah.
Because
Still better
I do
than
think
Eight-Legged Freaks.
there are some good parts. Like I say, I did like the audio. I thought that was well done. I did like the effects generally, like the animated monsters and stuff. I thought were done really well.
Yeah. Also some
And
practical
there were a
stuff that was
few
neat.
little, and there's a few little parts where I was like, I wish that was the whole movie because that would be fun. But then there's the rest of the movie which sucked, so that kind of brings it down.
Did you like the scene where a bunch of spiders break out of somebody's ribcage?
I actually did like that.
I saw that and I thought Josh will hate this or whatever. Like,
No, I thought it was gross as hell, but I really liked it as an idea. Like that was a cool idea. Like it's kind of like
enough.
the alien chest burster kind of thing. Like it's gross as hell, but it's cool. It's cool. Like I like the idea that this guy obviously had a bunch of spiders' eggs implanted in him, and they just kind of burst out the side of his body and then ate him.
Hell yeah.
Like
Not
that's
that.
cool. So
Yeah. Well, shit. Well, here's
So I guess what we're saying this episode is basically go watch like other films.
No. Go watch Eight-Legged Freaks.
No,
I
I
stand to that one.
Monster Hunter was better than Eight-Legged Freaks.
I hard disagree. Monster Hunter.
I gave it half a star more.
Eight-Legged Freaks knows what it wants to be and is that. Monster Hunter is just completely fumbling its source material.
And it's still better than Eight-Legged Freaks.
No, absolutely not.
I'm sticking by 1 star for Eight-Legged Freaks, 1.5 for Monster Hunter.
Criminal. Fucking hell.
Don't even bother.
Oh, yes,
basically, you could go watch many other films that are better than these two.
I guess, yeah, I mean, sure. Here's the real question, though. Would you rather be transported into the Monster Hunter realm and live like that, or, experience a giant spider attack on a mining town?
I mean, I think you know which one I'd pick.
I have a feeling it might be the Monster
I'd
Hunter
go hang out
world.
with Ron Perlman on his ship, man.
Nah, only if you pass those dunes, dudes.
Well, I'd rather my chances than having to deal with fucking spiders.
But there's also spiders in Monster Hunter.
Yeah,
Do
but
you want a bunch of
all
spiders?
It's not.
Jump out of your ribcage?
Do I want 100% spiders who sound like minions, or do I want potentially live in peace and just kind of hide out somewhere forever? That's the way I'm saying it.
The film hasn't shown me that there's any place to live in peace in Monster Hunter. It's just dunes, one oasis, and then Ron Perlman's ship.
Ron Perlman. I just like Ron Perlman. And he had a great haircut in this one. Like his costume design. Well, I think the costume design in Monster Hunter was really good too. Like whoever was responsible for that did their job, basically.
I guess.
In a good way. What about you? You would Eight-Legged Freaks it, wouldn't you? You'd be small town fighting spiders.
No, I would go to the Monster Hunter world as well, because if I die, I want to die at a place that not everybody has seen. Like, I would rather die in an alien world than some mining town. Yeah, but whatever. I'll be fine with having some spiders burst out of my chest. So that's cool. That's a cool way to go, I think. I'll take it.
I don't want to go that way. I'd rather I'd rather go fighting a dragon or some shit. That'd be better.
I don't want to burn to death. I don't know.
Anyway. What a week, what a month it's been, what an episode.
What a fantastic episode. Yeah, let's go.
What a theme. That was a killer theme. Yeah. I'm so glad we did it.
We have conquered these monsters successfully though, so
oddly enough though as well, like Creature Feature kind of does cover a bunch of things that we've already seen too. Like
true, very true.
The Thing would be a fantastic creature feature, and we both loved that film. Or like we say, Aliens, Godzilla, even shit like Pacific Rim or whatever.
Yeah.
Like not my favorite film, but pretty cool anyway.
I love that one.
There's lots of options is the point. We've already kind of seen them. So
Yeah. That's the thing. I don't have any regrets with bringing my movie regardless.
Me neither. I'm glad I watched it, to be honest.
Oh, shush.
I wanted to watch it. I'm glad I made you watch it with me. Because you made me watch the spider film, so,
Yeah, I guess that in that sense it's fair, yeah. We made each other suffer.
They were both
well,
kind of crap, but that's okay.
yeah. Well, jumping from suffering to the next step or whatever, because I guess it's time to talk about our
suffering.
next theme. We're gonna do some more suffering the next episode, I believe. The next theme that we pulled is loss. So we got for once we don't have like a genre or whatever. We got an actual subject, an actual theme to go off of. And I'm worried about this one. I think I put this shit on the list, but I might cry. I can review
that's like a good cry. That's part of the fun.
Yeah,
having a cathartic rush of emotions.
Yeah. Next episode might just be a ball fest. Well, I'm curious how much this is gonna hit on a rewatch. My pick for the Lost themed episode is gonna be the 2008 documentary Dear Zachary. Very well known.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah, it has definitely made its rounds around the world. It's like award-winning bullshit. Well, it's not bullshit. It's just fantastic.
It's some award-winning bullshit.
It's a documentary. It's about a real tragedy. It's about real loss, but it's beautiful as well. It's devastating, but it's beautiful.
Cool.
I'm excited to revisit this. Gonna bawl my house out heavy again. And yeah, it's fucked up heavy for sure. Yeah. So that's gonna be fun.
Yeah. I mean, I was just reading the blurb and I'm like, damn. Well, no, that's cool. Well, it's quite. I mean, so the one I've picked is also about loss, but it's kind of a different take on it, I think, and it's not. It's heavy in its own way, but it's not made to be super heavy. It's actually one of its subgenres is comedy, and it's a 2009 film, so I still get the newer one.
Yeah,
called Paperman.
I've never heard of this. I don't think.
A lot of people haven't, and I'm interested to see what you'd like because I genuinely think this is a very good film. Like, it hasn't got very good ratings or anything, but I genuinely think it's criminally underrated.
Ryan Reynolds, Kieran Culkin, though, hell yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's got a bit of a cast.
Dope.
But starring Jeff Daniels, who is amazing, and it's a little bit of a different take on Lost than like a heavy doco, but still, I think a bit of a tearjerker. Yeah,
I'm curious. Yeah, never heard of it, but I'm down for sure. Okay.
I want to also give a shout out to another film that I was considering because I love the graphic novel and I love the film that they made of it. Is a movie called I Kill Giants, and I would highly recommend anyone who's ever even a fan of modern graphic novels or anything to go check out the film as well because it's fucking rad. It's like it's a mixer of like it's got that kind of theme of a kid dealing with real trauma through fantasy sci-fi kind of means, which I love. That's just like, man, I can relate. So yeah, I'll recommend I Kill Giants as well while I've got the opportunity. But the film for next time will be Paperman because it just won out for me when I rewatched them recently.
Yeah, Paperman and Dear Zachary. There we go. Have your tissues ready for that one.
Oh yeah.
And that's
I'm a big one. I cry at the drop of a hat in a film. Like I go along with it, man. Like if something's
me too,
even if something's just like kind of cute and touching, I'll be like, oh my god, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
You know. So I am not ashamed of that at all. I think that's a good healthy way to be. Like,
I agree.
So I look forward to it. Yeah, and I think if you can tell a story that really taps into like humanity and common human emotions as well, like things we all share, then that's really valuable and good. So yeah, that's why I'm kind of, even though it's loss, I'm kind of looking forward to this topic personally.
Oh yeah, me too, for sure.
So yeah.
Okay. Well, as we lose our audience or whatever, lose our audience. Here's our last reminder that you are always welcome to leave some of your subjectively correct opinions in whatever comment section you see fit. And you are always welcome to suggest more themes for a random wheel of random stuff. And yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. I guess that's it for today.
Please let
see
us
you.
know what you thought of the films this episode as well, because
Yeah.
honestly, I'm intrigued, and don't be afraid if you did really like one of them that we didn't like.
Oh yeah.
Because I'd love to hear why. If you thought Monster Hunter was dope as fucking hell, please tell me.
Yeah, I would be interested to hear that as well. All right.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Until next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.